All right, every quarter we get this fascinating peek behind the curtain of one of the world's biggest companies. And this time, Google's parent company, Alphabet, didn't just have a good quarter, they hit a historic milestone, a number so huge it really changes how we think about what's possible for a company this size.
So here it is, the big one, the number that's got everyone talking, $102.3 billion in revenue. And just let that sink in for a second. That's not for a whole year. That's for just 90 days. It's an absolute first for them, and a number that just redefines financial scale.
And you don't have to take my word for it, this is straight from the top. CEO Sundar Pichai put it plainly. This wasn't just another solid quarter. This was a landmark. It's a huge signal that pretty much every part of the business is firing on all cylinders at the same time. So the big question is, how on earth did they pull this off? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the sheer scale of the growth. Then we'll pinpoint the new engines that are really driving them forward. And finally, we'll dig into some of the hidden costs that come with operating at this level. Okay, let's kick things off by really putting this quarter into perspective. Because it's not just about that big, shiny $100 billion number, it's about the speed, the velocity of the growth. I mean, just look at the difference a single year can make. This exact same time last year, their revenue was about $88 billion. Now, fast forward 12 months, and it's over $102 billion. That's a 16% jump. For a company that's already a giant, growing that fast, well, that's just wild. But you know, revenue is only part of the story. And honestly, this is where it gets really impressive. The company's actual profit, its net income, grew even faster. It shot up 33%. And earnings per share, which is what investors watch really closely, that jumped 35%. So this isn't just about getting bigger, it's about getting way more profitable too. So where is all this extra cash coming from? You know, for years the answer was simple: search. It was always Google search. But that story is starting to change as new parts of the business are turning into absolute powerhouses. Okay, so this chart kind of gives us the lay of the land. Google services, search, YouTube, Android, that's still the undisputed king, bringing in over $87 billion. But the real story here is that growing slice for Google Cloud. It's now a $15 billion business. That is not a side hustle anymore, it's a major pillar. And other bets, their moonshot division, well, that's still what it sounds like, a few small bets on the future. And this right here, this is where you can see the strategy unfolding in real time. The core services business grew by a very strong 14%. But look at Google Cloud. It grew by 34%. That's more than double the pace. This is Alphabet's new hypergrowth engine, and it is firing up. So what's the rocket fuel here? Well, it's those two letters that you are hearing everywhere, AI. The company was very clear that a huge driver was performance in AI infrastructure and all their generative AI tools. Basically, companies all over the world are scrambling to build AI into their products, and they're paying Alphabet to rent their supercomputers to do it. And this isn't just talk. We've got the numbers to back it up. These are some pretty mind-blowing stats. Pichai said their Gemini AI models are now processing 7 billion tokens per minute. And their Gemini app for consumers, it's already got over 650 million people using it every month. The scale of AI adoption is just staggering. Okay, so cloud is clearly the hot new growth story, right? But let's not for a second forget the foundation this entire empire is built on. Google Services is still the incredible cash machine that pays for everything else. And wow, what a machine it is. Search just keeps on accelerating, jumping from about 49 billion to over 56 billion in just 1 year. And YouTube ads also had explosive growth, crossing that $10 billion mark for the quarter. You know, you'd think these massive businesses would be slowing down by now, but nope, they're still expanding like crazy. And get this, it's not just about ads anymore. Alphabet has been quietly building a monster subscription business on the side. They now have over 300 million paid subscriptions for things like Google One Cloud Storage and YouTube Premium. That's steady, predictable money coming in the door every single month, which is a fantastic complement to the ad business. So, $100 billion sounds pretty perfect, right? But when you operate at this scale, you've got some pretty massive costs and challenges to go along with it. So let's peel back that layer and look at the other side of the ledger. So was it a flawless victory? Well, not quite. When you actually dig into the fine print, the picture gets a little more complicated. And here's a big number you don't want to see on your expense report: $3.5 billion. During the quarter, Alphabet had to account for a massive fine from the European Commission over competition rules. That's a huge hit that goes straight to the bottom line.
And yeah, that fine took a real bite out of their profits. The company reported an operating margin of 30.5%. But if you mentally subtract that one-time fine, their actual margin was a much healthier 33.9%. So this tells you two things. One, the core business is an absolute cash cow. And two, that shadow of regulatory risk is always lurking in the background.
So what's another big cost? Well, it's the price of trying to invent the future. That other bets division with the self-driving cars and wild healthcare tech, it lost $1.4 billion this quarter. That's just the cost of making long-term bets, and it's a price Alphabet is clearly willing to pay. And this all leads us to the master plan, the big picture. Alphabet is taking these record-breaking profits and plowing them right back into the business at a staggering rate. They're planning to spend over $90 billion this year on things like data centers and servers. And guess where a huge piece of that pie is going? Straight into building out their AI infrastructure. They are absolutely playing the long game here. So that really brings us to the big takeaway. You've got this incredible flywheel spinning. The core business makes massive profits, which then fund massive investments in AI, and that AI then creates massive new growth. So the question we're left with is this. As that wheel spins faster and faster, is Alphabet building a competitive advantage that is, well, simply untouchable?